to another video for Final Fantasy XIV with me, Meoni. Today we're looking at another partition. This is the curved marble partition. So you might be familiar with the marble partitions in the game. I've got some in my inventory which were dyeable, added previously to the game, which were marble effect sort of borders and then a dyeable wall. There was also an arch as well, partition. So it would be nice if we could make these link up without it being a 90-degree angle, which is exactly what this new item's all about. So if you go to any housing merchant in any of the housing areas, I'm here in the Mist. If you live in the Mist, it's at Seagaze Markets on the left here. You will find a housing merchant. Go to the Partitions tab / wall decorations. Tick only show recently added, and as well as the new blackboard that we looked at in another video, you'll find the curved marble partition. It says a gently curved cream colored partition with a white marble baseboard. So we're going to buy these. I'm going to buy a couple of these because they're 2,000 gil a piece. Just going to grab a couple of those, nice and easily affordable. If you're the sort of person that wants to actually get these and you know, more often than not think that things are crafted, don't initially lean towards going to the market board because you can save yourself some gil if you do it this way. Okay, here's perfectly good enough, I think, in our FC large plot. Just going to show these off. So the first thing I want to do is put down a normal marble partition, which, if you remember, looked like that with the baseboards as well as the top board. I'm going to rotate this around like we normally would. Put snap to grid on because that makes things a bit easier for this demonstration. So this would be the atypical use case scenario for me personally. So I would have two of these marble partitions and I'd be wanting to join these together. Originally I would be trying to create a 90-degree angle, or I would be trying to rotate this round to try and create a curvature, which is not always possible. You don't always want square rooms, and it's nice that Square Enix have realized this, because the curved marble partition, as you can see, helps bridge that gap so nicely. It just slots in right there. I think some of the clipping's slightly off there. Yeah, so snap to grid's actually off. That's a little bit annoying. I say a little bit annoying, but quite a bit annoying. Let me just tidy this up. Sometimes it's very unusual for the snap to grid to be off like that, in my opinion. That's not exactly perfect, is it? But you can see that they will go together quite well, and you can make a nice seamless thing if you have the patience and the time to do it, obviously, which for video purposes I don't necessarily have. I did want to showcase this. Oh wow, that is really bad. I did want to showcase this because I think this is a perfect item. I think this is one of the better things that they've added, simply because look at the effect you can make. So now we can have curvatures. Of course, you get multiples of these and place, you know, the arch partition as well. So if you wanted to create like some kind of decorative hallway or something, or to even snake things around, right? That's the bigger concern, because currently that wasn't really possible. The marble partitions are lovely. There we go. That's better. It snapped to grid quite nicely there. And one thing I will point out though is it's a little bit glaring, the sort of borderline between the actual you know, like the seam is very visible on the marble. You'll notice that here. It's one of the downsides, but it's still going to look really good visually from a distance, that curved wall. I think I'm out of placement slots. Let me just quickly plop. Let's pop this wall back in, and we'll show off the arched partition in the middle of these as well. Of course, that's not going to clip properly either, is it? The housing is like 9 times out of 10 is you trying to be very, very, very slow with your hands trying to place these things, because snap to grid more often than not lies to you. There we go. That's the best I can do, sort of freehand right now. So that gives you a good idea of what those look like. Honestly, those curved partitions. Obviously, this makes you know, making certain types of store or something, or I don't know, certain rooms look quite interesting. You could just make a cylindrical wall, for example, but I do like seeing curvature. Now, obviously, the next thing for them to do logistically would be to, you know, put in curved versions of every wall partition as well, because as far as I know there isn't one for all of the others. There's only a couple of curved partitions. Really, really nice, really effective. Again, people with greater design ambition will get the most out of this, but it does make all the difference, quite honestly, not having just a 90-degree angle to play with. And of course you could reverse these and flip them around so you can make like a snaking wall effect. It would actually make this a lot easier. This is something my girlfriend did where she was trying to place these on a curvature with the windows to have this nice sort of bay sort of thing, and we did this with partitions and stage pieces. It was quite annoying to get a perfect angle, and in fact it's not fully curved, whereas if you had placed these there and then put the false windows on them, it would have a natural curve. So that's something we might do to cut down on the number of items we're actually using, especially for that part of our house design. Really good. Of course, you know, dies the same way as the walls around it, the other marble partitions, but some people might obviously want to see what those look like. Let's just put those on soot black for a second, just to show you that it's the same dealio. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it looks better in a darker color. You can see the seams less obvious on the actual walls. But of course, the biggest issue is, of course, the seams between the actual marble itself and the other marble. It seems to be one side is worse than the other. Like this side seems to be much worse than the reverse for some reason. Like this is just glaring, isn't it? But it's almost like they forgot to put as many fault lines on the archway place than anything else. But yeah, it's a really nice item. What more is there to say, to be perfectly honest? I mean, there's not much to talk about. It is exactly what we kind of wanted it to be. So yeah, very cool. Looks good in a variety of colors. It's got a kind of like plaster effect. Actually really useful for green screening if you want to chroma key out a picture. Was it olive green? It's either cactuar green or Ochu is the one that I use for green screening. Really useful. Yeah, there's not much else to say. I'm very much a fan of this. Hopefully they do curved versions of the other partitions that are in the game already. That could be a thing that they could add to housing merchants. Again, don't go to the market board. Don't waste your gil when you can get it for essentially 2,000 gil. Much love. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll see you all next time. I'm really looking forward to see what people come up with curved walls. That's going to revolutionize a lot of things, I think.